Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we make trendy and fun crochet tutorials twice a week, and if you haven't already, smash that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe to join in on the fun. What we got here is a fun v-neck sweater, perfect for summer. I wanted to add some variety to the warm weather pieces, and I thought a summer sweater would work well. If you think so too, drop a comment below, and if you make it, tag us on Instagram so I can put you in our highlights. So without further ado, for this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a skein and a half of Red Heart Super Saver in light sage. As for tools, a 3.5 and 8mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There's a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order. Watch to the end of the video to learn how to enter this week's giveaway. We're using 4 stitches for this project, and they will be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. This tutorial is for a size small, but you can adjust it for your size, and we explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting this top started, we are first going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Next, we're going to grab our 3.5mm hook and start off by doing some measuring. The first measurement that we're going to make is going to be from the base of our neck over to the other side of the base of our neck. So we're going to take that measurement and make sure that it is an odd number. So I'm going to start off by making a chain of 33, or that's going to be a total of 9 inches or 23 centimeters. And then also go ahead and grab your stitch markers because we're going to be using that in the next clip. So we are back and we have just finished up going in with our chain. What we're going to do from here is block off that last chain, do a chain up of 1, and we're going to grab our stitch marker and then insert it into that last chain that we just made. And then from here we're going to do some more measuring. So from the base of our neck down to where we want the point of our collar to be, we're going to make a chain of that number, making sure that it's still an odd number. So my chain is actually going to be the same. I'm going to start off by making another chain of 33, or that is 9 inches or 23 centimeters. And now that we have this portion of our chain all finished up, just like in the previous clip, we're going to block off that last chain, do a chain up of 1, grab our next stitch marker, and yes, mine is a different color because this is the point for my collar. And then from here, we're actually going to be making another chain that goes from the point of our collar back up to the base of our neck. So mine is going to be the same, another set of 33 chains, or that's going to be 9 inches or 23 centimeters. And now that we've made it all the way down to this portion, we're going to block off that last chain, do an extra chain up of 1, go ahead and insert your last stitch marker into that stitch. And from here, we're just going to run our thumb along the chain, making sure that it's facing one direction so that it's not twisted, so that our next row can be easy for us to go into. Once we made sure that it isn't twisted, we're going to take our hook, insert it into that first chain that we made. Once we've done that, we're going to take our working yarn, yarn over, and pull through everything. And this is what our chain should be looking like now that we have just slip stitched it all together. And then from here, we're actually just going to go in with a row of half double crochets while maintaining an increase of 2 into each of these side stitch markers that we have, and then an increase of 3 into this bottom point. So I'm going to start off by doing a chain up of 2, and then we're going to work along the back together. So making sure that we're going into the right direction, which is towards the other shoulder stitch marker. What we're going to do from here is start off by doing a chain up of 2. That counts as a half double crochet. From here, we're going to prepare for a half double. We're going to go into that first chain just with a half double, so we're going to insert our hook into there, yarn over, pull through. We should have 3 loops on our hook. From here, we're just going to yarn over and pull through 3. And we're just going to keep doing this, going all the way down, and then I'll meet you guys back once we get to this stitch marker over here. Alright, so we have just made our way down to our first stitch marker, which is our shoulder stitch marker, and we're just going to be doing an increase of 2 into this stitch. So we're going to take this one out for now, but don't put it too far because we're going to insert it back in about 2 seconds. We're going to prepare for a half double, and into that next chain we're going to go in with 2 half doubles. So there is our first one, and then into that same chain we're going to go in with another half double, and then from here we're actually going to be taking our stitch marker and inserting it just into the 2 half doubles that we just made. And this is just a little bit easier so that we know which one is in the front and which one is in the back. But once we have that, we're going to be putting 1/2 double into every stitch that we have, going all the way down until we hit our middle stitch marker, which is the point for our collar, and then we're going to be doing an increase of 3, so I'll meet you guys back once we hit the stitch marker. Alright, so we have just made our way down with our 1/2 double crochets, and now we are at the point of our collar. So what we're going to do from here is take out our stitch marker, but don't put that too far. We're going to go into that chain with an increase of 3 1/2 double crochets. So just like before, we're going to be putting 3 into that next chain, but in the previous clip we were putting 2. So anyways, what we're going to do is put 1 1/2 double crochet into that next chain. So insert, pull through 3, go ahead and yarn over into that same chain, insert, pull through 3, and then just once more, 1/2 double, and then from here we're going to take our stitch marker that we just took out and then insert it into that second single crochet, not single crochet, our second 1/2 double crochet, so that we can figure out where the middle is, which is that point. And then from here we're going to make our way back down, putting 1/2 double crochet into every stitch. Once we hit our next and our last stitch marker, we're going to be doing an increase of 2 into there, and then we're going to slip stitch into that second chain that we made when we did our chain up of 2 to start up this row, and then I'll meet you guys back so we can get started on the next row. Alright, so now that we have just finished up going in with our first row, the next row that we're going to do for our collar is a row of ribbing. So it's going to be some front post double crochets and some 1/2 double crochets, so let's get that started together. So from where we're at, what we're going to do from here is start off by doing a chain up of 2 that counts as a 1/2 double crochet. Once we get here, we are going to prepare for a front post double crochet, and then into this first 1/2 double crochet row that we have in the previous row, we're going to be going into there with a front post double. So we're going to, just for clarification, skip this first chain up of 2 that we had in the previous row. We're going to go into that first 1/2 double. We're going to insert our hook behind that 1/2 double and then bringing it through the other side. We're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that is our first front post double. And then from here we're going to go in with a regular 1/2 double crochet. So prepare for a 1/2 double. We're going to take a look at the loops that we have right behind the front post double that we just went into, and then we're going to be skipping 1 loop, and then we're going to do our 1/2 double crochet into the loop right after that. And we're doing that so that we are making sure that we're not increasing by accident. We always want to make sure that we're going into the correct loop for our 1/2 double crochets. So go ahead and insert your hook into there, yarn over, and pull through everything. Let's do the next one together. We're going to prepare for a front post double. We're going to be skipping this 1/2 double crochet and then going into the 1/2 double crochet right after that, and this is what's going to give us our ribbing. So go ahead and skip that one, go into the 1/2 double right after that, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we're going to do another 1/2 double right after that. So prepare for a 1/2 double. We're going to skip 1 loop into the previous row and then insert our 1/2 double into the next, top loop, yarn over, and pull through 3, and that is our ribbing. So 1 front post double, 1 1/2 double. We're going to keep doing this going all the way down until we hit our first stitch marker right over here. Alrighty, so we have just made our way down with our front post double crochets and our 1/2 double crochets all the way down until we hit our first stitch marker. And into this first one, which is the loop that is closest to the back, we're going to be doing our increase. And then keep that in mind for when we're going into the other side as well. We're going to be doing our increase into the stitch that is closest to the back, not the one that's closest to the point. So once when we get here, we can take out this next stitch marker, and then into this next stitch that we have, we should have all met back at a front post double crochet, and then we're going to go in with an increase of 2 1/2 double crochets. So what we're going to do is just make sure that we're skipping 1 stitch, then we're going to go into that next stitch with 1 1/2 double crochet, and then 1 more into that same stitch. That is our increase. And then once we have that, we're going to be inserting our stitch marker into those 2 stitches again, just to make sure that we have that settled in. And then once we have that, we're going to continue on with the same pattern. So let's just do this next set together. We're going to prepare for a 1/2 double crochet, skip this next 1/2 double crochet, go into the one right after that with a front post double crochet. So pull through 2, pull through 2, prepare for a 1/2 double, skip 1 stitch in the back, go into the next stitch with a half double. Go ahead and keep doing this, going all the way down until we hit our middle point. Alrighty, so we are back and we have now made it all the way down to the point of our collar, and what we're going to do from here, we should have all ended on a front post double crochet again. And what we're going to do is go into that middle stitch with an increase of 3 half double crochets. So just to double check, we're going to be skipping 1 stitch and then going into that stitch that we just took our stitch marker out of with 3 half double crochets. So go ahead and go into that middle stitch, pull through 3, there's our first into that same stitch. There's our next increase of 3, and then into that same stitch, our last increase of 3 into the stitch. And then we're going to be inserting our hook into that second half double crochet, just like that, and this is our middle point. And then from here, we're going to continue doing the same thing, going all the way back down. So let's just start this off together. We're going to prepare for a front post double. We're going to be skipping this double crochet, going into this next available half double crochet with a front post double crochet, just like so, and then prepare for a half double. We're going to be skipping 1 stitch we have in the back, going into the next top stitch with a half double crochet, and we are going to maintain doing those sets going all the way down. And then, just as a reminder, once we're working our way back down to our shoulder portion, what we are going to do is we're going to do our increase into the last stitch that we have, or the stitch that we have that is closest to the back, because this is where our stitch marker is into. Just so that we can match this one over here. We don't want any of our numbers to be a little wonky. So go ahead and just do front post double crochets, half double crochets going all the way down, and then we should do an increase into our last stitch with an increase of 2 half double crochets. But I'll meet you guys back once we get right here just to confirm. Alright, so we have just made our way all the way down with our front post doubles and our half double crochets. We have left this last stitch just because I wanted to confirm with you guys that we are going to be ending on an increase of 2 half double crochets, and we are. So let's just get this started off with each other. I'm going to take out my stitch marker, and then I have already gone all the way down with my last front post double crochet, and then this is my last stitch that we have right over here. So into that last stitch, we're going to go in with 2 half double crochets. So there's 1, and then there is 2. I will be inserting my stitch marker into both of those stitches that we have. Going to close that off, and then I'm going to slip stitch into that second chain that I have into the chain out of 2 that we did when we started off this row. So we have just finished up going in with our row number 2 when it comes to our collar, and now what we're going to do is actually just make some extra loops for ourselves, because for the body we're going to go in with a hook that's a little bit bigger, so we want to make sure that the loops that we have are easier for us to go into. So this is actually just going to be a row of net, but it's going to be a really small net so that we can't really see it. It's just going to be easier for our 8mm hook to slide into the loops. So what we're going to do is start off by doing a chain up of 1. And then once when we get here, we have our chain up of 1 right here. We're actually going to do an extra chain up of 1. We're going to be skipping 1 stitch, single crocheting into the next. And then when we start working in with our 8mm hook, that loop that we just made for ourselves, that's going to be where our 8mm hook slides into. So let's do the next one together. Do a chain up of 1, skip 1 stitch, single crochet into the next. And then that is a little bit easier to see. That is going to be the loop that our 8mm hook is going to be sliding in and out of. So go ahead and do 1 more, skip 1 stitch, single crochet into the next. And we're actually just going to maintain doing this going all the way around, and then once when we reach our first chain up of 1 space, we're going to do a chain up of 1 and cut. I just want to remind you guys though that once when we hit our stitch markers, we're going to make sure to insert our stitch markers into those loops. And just in case if it ends on a single crochet for you guys, go ahead and just pick one of the loops that's right next to it, but just make sure that it is even along both sides. And then I will meet you guys back so that we can get started on the body portion. Alright, so we have just made our way all the way down to the point of our collar, and I just wanted to meet you guys back so that we can do this together really quickly. But all we've been doing so far is just doing a single crochet, skipping a stitch, doing a chain up of 1, and then single crocheting into the next, going all the way down. And then once we get here, what we're going to do, as you guys can see, I have a stitch, and then the next stitch after that is the one that is my middle stitch. So I'm going to be taking this guy out. The last thing that I did was a single crochet, so I'm going to do a chain up of 1, and then I'm going to put 1 single crochet into that middle stitch. And this is kind of like our increase, so we're going to do another chain and single crochet again once into that middle stitch, making sure that we are inserting our stitch marker back into the loop that we just made for ourselves. And then from there we're going to continue on with the rest. So do a chain up of 1, skip 1 stitch, single crochet into the stitch right after that, and then keep doing this going all the way down. And then just remember that when you guys are inserting our shoulder stitch markers back into the collar, we just want to make sure that we have the same amount of loops on this side as we do on this side. And then I'll meet you guys back once when we have slip stitched into that chain up of 1 space and did a chain up of 1 and cut. Alright, so this is what things should be looking like once we have just finished up going in with our row of net, which was just a row of single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, all while skipping a stitch. It actually doesn't look like much, but if we just want to hold it up really quickly, we can see the gaps that we have left for ourselves. And I have done a chain up of 1 and cut. So from here, we're actually done with our collar, so we can set this off to the side. And what we're going to do next is get started on the body. So we're going to grab our same category 4 yarn, grab our 8mm hook, and we're going to start off by making a chain that goes from our underarm down to where we want the bottom of the top to be. And let me take a look at my notes. I want mine to be a total of 12 inches or 31 centimeters. So I'm going to start off by making a chain of 32. And now that we have our chain, what we're going to do from here is block off that last chain, do a chain up of 2, that counts as a half double crochet. From here, we're going to prepare for a half double, insert our hook into that chain that we blocked off, or the third chain from our hook, with a half double crochet. Let's do the next one together. Prepare for a half double, go into that next chain, pull through 3. We're going to keep doing this, going all the way down until we have our last chain, and then I'll meet you guys back so we can do our increase together. We have just made our way all the way down with our half double crochet row, and we have left our last chain, and we're just going to do an increase of 2 into there together. So all we're going to do is prepare for a half double, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3. There's our first. We're going to be doing 1 more. So go ahead and prepare, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3, and that is our increase. And from here, what we're going to do is do a chain up of 1, flip our work, and then we're going to start off this next row by doing an increase of 2 back loop single crochets. So let's do that together. Into this first back loop that we have, we're going to insert our hook into there and put 1 single crochet. Into that same back loop, put another single crochet. And then from here, just put 1 back loop single crochet into every stitch, making our way all the way down, and I'll meet you guys back at the end of this row. And now that we've made our way all the way down, what we're going to do from here is start off our third row by doing a chain up of 2 and flipping our work. And we're just going to be alternating between a back loop half double crochet and a back loop single crochet row. So we're going to prepare for a half double crochet, go into that first back loop with a half double crochet. And we're going to keep doing this, going all the way down until we hit our last stitch. And once we get to that last one, we're going to do an increase of 2 back loop half double crochets, just like how we started this off. And we're going to keep working like that, just alternating between a row of back loop half double and back loop single crochet rows while maintaining an increase along this side until we get the measurement from mid underarm to the front of our body. And when we meet each other back, we do want to make sure that we're meeting at the top of our work so that we don't need to do any cutting and tying. We can just go straight up with a chain that shoots straight up to our shoulder. So I'll meet you guys back once when we have this little chunk finished up. Alright, so I am back with my little underarm portion, and just to let you guys know, I just ended up having a total of 5 rows, or this came out to about 2.5 inches or 6 centimeters. And like I said in the previous clip, we should have all met at the top corner that we have right here, and then from here we're just going to put this up to ourselves and then figure out the chain amount that we're going to need to make so that this reaches our shoulder. I'm going to need to make a total of 6 inches or 15 centimeters, so I'm going to start off by making a chain of 16. Once we have our chain, what we're going to do from here is block off that last chain and just do a chain up of 1. Since we're working our way down, the next row that we have into our pattern is a row of single crochets. So into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, we're going to go in with a single crochet. And then from here, we're just going to be putting 1 single crochet into every chain that we have. And then once we make our way down to the body portion, we're going to go back into working into our back loops. So close this off with back loop single crochets going all the way down. And then for the next few rows, we're actually going to be doing just rows of back loop single crochets and back loop half double crochets with no increases or decreases on either side until the shoulder portion reaches our collar. So go ahead and do those amount of rows and then I'll meet you guys back. The only tip that I have for you guys is that when we do meet each other back, just make sure we're meeting at the top again so that we can go straight into the collar. Alright, so we have just finished up going in with our super duper tiny shoulder portion, and I ended up just having a total of 2. So in total, I have a total of 7 rows, and the width that I have is now 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters. And once when we have this, we should have all met at the top, and we can now reintroduce our collar. So the only tip that I have for you guys when it comes to placing the collar, it's just making sure that the bottom point is along the bottom because they all look kind of the same right now. So just make sure that we're going into the shoulder stitch markers, either one, it doesn't matter which one right now, but just make sure that we're not going into the bottom corner. But once when we're going into here, we should have inserted our stitch marker into one of these loops that we made for ourselves, but now we can just go ahead and insert our hook into that loop. And take out our stitch marker. We're going to yarn over and pull through, and now our work should be nice and attached into our collar. And then once when we get here, we are now going to be slip stitching into the next loop that we have going down towards our point, and then we can start working into the next row that we have going into the body. So just to show you guys, into the next loop that we made for ourselves, we're going to insert our hook into there, yarn over, pull through everything with a slip stitch, flip our work, and then now we can get started with our body portion. So what we're going to do from here is insert our hook into this next back loop, because the next row that we're going to be going into is a back loop single crochet. We're going to yarn over, pull through into this next back loop, yarn over, pull through. We should have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3. That is a decrease of 2 back loop single crochets. And we're going to be doing a decrease of 2 of whatever stitch we're working into for that row into the 2 stitches that we have that's right next to the base. And then from here, we're just going to be putting 1 back loop single crochet into every stitch that we have. We're going to keep the bottom blunt. So we're just going to do a chain up of 2, flip our work, and then bring it on back down with more back loop half double crochets. But I will meet you guys back once we have just these 2 stitches left, because we're going to be doing a decrease of 2 back loop half double crochets together, and then I'll show you guys how to insert your hook into the base as well. Alright, so we have just made our way all the way down with our back loop half double crochets, and we have left our last 2 stitches, so let's do our decrease together. We're going to prepare for a half double crochet, go into that second to last back loop, pull through, into that last back loop, pull through. We should have 4 loops on our hook, so we're just going to yarn over and pull through all 4. And then from here, we're actually going to be skipping one of the stitches that we made for ourselves, and then we're going to slip stitch into that second that we have, just because this is a half double crochet, it's a little bit bigger than a single. And then our half double crochet row is nice and attached. And once we have this, we're going to slip stitch into that next stitch. We're going to flip our work, and then go ahead and start off by doing a decrease of 2 back loop single crochets, and since we're here, we might as well do it together. So to do the first one, we're going to insert into that back loop, pull through, next back loop, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3, and then make our way back down with more back loop single crochets. Once we make our way down to the end, bring it on back down with more back loop half double crochets, and we're going to do everything exactly the same that we just did until we hit our middle point that we have right here, and then I'll meet you guys back. Alright, so we are back with one side of our front panel, and we actually just have 1 stitch left to go into. So if you guys are lucky enough to be at the top, then you guys can just go into that next stitch and then work your way down with your single crochets, just like how we've been doing, but making sure that once we're going into this middle stitch, we are not going to be doing any increases or decreases. We want this to be a very clean middle line. But if you guys are along the bottom, then once we're working our way up, it's typically back loop half double crochets. But since we just have 1 stitch left, we're just going to go in with a row of back loop single crochets, but still maintaining the not doing any increases or decreases. So all I'm going to do is do a chain up of 1, put 1 back loop single crochet into every stitch, slip stitch into that middle stitch, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then I'm going to do the underarm portion and the shoulder portion from this side. So I'll meet you guys back once when I have this row all finished up. Alrighty, so we have just finished up going in with just one side of our front panel, and we're actually going to do the same exact thing that we just did here along the other side. So just to get this started off, I'm going to do my same chain count, row count, everything of the underarm portion and the shoulder chunk. And then I'll meet you guys back just to remind you guys where we're going to be inserting our hook into when we insert it into the collar. But everything else is going to be exactly the same. So go ahead and get that part done, and then I'll meet you guys back. Alrighty, so we have just finished up going in with our underarm portion and our shoulder portion. That is the same as we did over here, that is already attached to the collar. I'm just back to show you guys where we are going to attach it into the collar, and then everything else is going to be exactly the same. So what we are going to do from here is just like before, we just want to make sure that we're inserting our hook into the stitch marker that is where our shoulder will be. So we can go ahead and take that out now. We're going to insert our hook into that stitch that we made for ourselves, and we're going to yarn over and pull through. And just to start this off with each other, we're going to slip stitch into that next stitch, and then we're going to work into the body. And this is going to be exactly the same, so just make sure that we're doing a decrease of 2 of whatever stitch we're working into, either the back loop half doubles or back loop singles, into the stitches that we have that's right next to the collar. And then once we make our way all the way down to the end, we are going to repeat what we did into that middle stitch. So it's either our half double crochet, or we're going to go in with our single crochet like how I did with you guys a couple clips ago. And then I'll meet you guys back so that we can seam it all up. Alright, so we are back and we have just finished up going in with the second front panel, and what we're going to do now is just seam everything up. So it's going to be pretty simple. The only thing that I'm going to have to say to you guys is just make sure that our collar is faced the correct direction, which is wrong side faced up. So just to take a look at the collar really quickly, if I flip mine over, we can very clearly see the ribbing that we did when we first started off the collar. We want that to be face down because we want the seam to be on the inside of our work. And this is the same if we were starting at the top or at the bottom. We're going to insert our hook into the first available loop into the front panel, and also into the next available loop into the back panel. And once we have that, we are just going to single crochet them together. Let's do the next one. Insert your hook into the next available loop into the front panel, into the next available loop into the back panel, and then single crochet. And we're just going to keep doing this, going all the way down, and when we don't have any more stitches left to go into, we're going to do a chain up of 1 and cut. Alrighty, so we have just finished up seaming up our front panels, and now we're going to get started on our back piece. And for my back piece, I actually want mine to be just a little bit longer than my front, so I'm going to add an extra inch to the initial underarm to the bottom of the top chain. So before it was a total of 12 inches, now I'm going to make a total of 13 inches or 33 centimeters, or that comes out to 36 chains. And this part is actually going to be exactly the same way that we did the front panel, so I'm just going to start it off with you guys, and then I'll meet you guys back so that we can do our shoulder piece together. But what we're going to do now that we have our initial chain is block off that last chain and do a chain up of 2. Once we have that, we're going to prepare for a half double crochet. Go into that chain that we blocked off, or the third chain from our hook, with a half double. And we're going to keep doing this, going all the way down, leaving that last chain. We're going to do an increase of 2 half double crochet into there. We're going to do a chain up of 1, flip our work, and then increase into that first stitch that we have with an increase of 2 back loop single crochets. And we're going to keep going back and forth like that, alternating between a row of back loop half double and back loop single crochets while maintaining an increase on one side. And then I'll meet you guys back once we have the same amount of rows that we ended up having for the front panel. Alright, so we are back and we have just finished up going in with the underarm portion for our back panel, which is kind of the same thing that we did for the front. It's just a little bit longer because we want the back to be longer than the front. But once when we get here, we should have all ended on the same amount of rows, and along the top, we're actually going to make a chain that shoots straight up to our shoulder. But the chain that we're going to make is going to be the same chain count that we did for the front panel because we don't want the arms to be uneven. So just as a reminder, for mine, my front panel, I ended up doing a chain of 16. I'm going to do the same thing, and then from there, do an extra chain up of 1, and then go down with a row of back loop single crochets and then a back loop half double crochet row because I only have 2 rows for my shoulder portion. The amount of rows for the shoulder portion will be the same as the front, so go ahead and get all that finished up, and then I'll meet you guys back just so I can show you guys where we're going to be inserting it into the collar, and then the rest is going to be pretty much a straight shot from there. Alrighty, so we have just finished up going in with our back panel's shoulder piece, which should match our front panels, and what we're going to do from here is attach it into the collar and then just kind of work straight through. So I'm just going to show you guys where we're going to be inserting our hook so that we can do our back panel. So what we're going to do is actually insert it into the same stitch that our front panel is coming out of. So it's going to be into this stitch right here. So all we're going to do is just insert our hook into there. And then once when we have that, all I'm going to do is yarn over and pull through everything. And then from here, this is going to be pretty straightforward. The next row that we're going to do is going to be a row of back loop single crochets, kind of like how we started off doing the front panel. We're going to go down with the row of back loop single crochets. We're not going to be doing any increases or decreases since this is the back panel. Once we get down to the end, we're going to do a chain up of 2, bring it on back down with back loop half double crochets, and then we're going to slip stitch into the second stitch that we have into the collar. And we're just going to keep going back and forth like that, kind of making a solid panel going all the way down until we hit this last stitch that we have right here, so the one that our front panel is coming out of on the other side, and then I will meet you guys back. Alrighty, so we have just finished up going in with our solid back piece, and we actually don't have any more stitches left to go into the collar, and I did go into that last stitch that our front panel is coming out of, so we are completely done with this. But what we're going to do next is just go in with the same amount of stitches for our shoulder portion. So like I said in the previous clip, I ended up just having 2 rows for my shoulder portion. So from the bottom, I'm going to do my chain up of 2, do 1 back loop half double crochet into each. Once when I hit this last stitch over here, do a chain up of 1, and then go down with a row of back loop single crochets going all the way down. And that's where I'm going to stop because I only need to do 2. You guys keep going until you guys have the same amount of shoulder portions as your front or your other side, whatever you guys are comparing it to, and then I'll meet you guys back. Alright, so I am back and I have just finished up going in with my shoulder portion, and I have ended along the bottom. This part may be a little different depending on how many rows you guys ended up going in with for your back panel. If you guys are at the top, go ahead and stay put. I'll show you guys what to do in a second. But all we're going to do from here is just insert our stitch marker into the stitch that we have up here. That is the same number count as our chain that we made when we go in with our shoulder portion. So for my front panel and for my back, I ended up doing a chain up of 16. So from this top corner, I counted down 16 and then inserted my stitch marker into there. And from here, we're actually going to go in with our underarm portion. So from here, I'm just going to do a chain up of 2, flip my work, and then do back loop half double crochets going all the way down until we have just 2 stitches left. And then I'll meet you guys back so that we can do our decrease of 2 back loop half double crochets. Now, if you guys have actually ended at the top, y'all are going to do a chain up of 1 and cut. And then when we're going in with our underarm portion, since you guys ended at the top, if we want to keep up with the ribbing that we have, you guys are actually going to have to insert your hook into right where your stitch marker is. And then you're going to start off by doing a decrease and then work your way down with your next row, which should actually be a back loop single crochet row. So you guys are going to start off by doing a decrease of 2 back loop single crochets and then put 1 back loop single crochet into every stitch and then just keep working down that way. And we're only doing it that way so that you guys can have the same type of ribbing along this back half that we have here, so it won't look a little wonky. But either way, I will do my row of back loop half double crochet and leave the last 2 stitches, and then we'll do that decrease together, and then I'll let you guys go on from there. Alright, so I have just made my way all the way down with my row of back loop half double crochets, leaving these 2 stitches that we have leading up to our stitch marker. So we're just going to do a decrease of 2 back loop half doubles together. We're going to prepare for a half double. Into that second to last stitch, we're going to insert, pull through. Into that last stitch, which is the one that our stitch marker is into, we're going to insert our hook into that back loop, pull through, yarn over, pull through, all 4. And then from here, do a chain up of 1, flip our work, and we're just going to start off this next row with each other. So this next row is going to be a row of back loop single crochets, so let's do our first decrease together. We're going to insert into that first back loop, pull through, insert into that next back loop, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3. And then make our way back down with 1 back loop single crochet into every stitch. And we're just going to keep decreasing along the top like this until we have the same amount of rows as all of our other underarm portions, and then we're going to do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then I'll meet you guys back. Alright, so we have just finished up going in with the entirety of our back piece, and what we're going to do from here is just clean up the bottom with a row of single crochet. And the front and the back are actually going to be done exactly the same way, so I'm just going to show you guys how to do the back because my front's already finished up. So what we're going to do is actually just insert our hook into this corner stitch that we have. We're going to insert our yarn onto our hook and pull through. And with this row of single crochet, it's going to be fairly simple. The only thing that's a little fancy about it is that we're going to be alternating between 1 single crochet to 2 single crochet into every other side half double, but we have a single crochet row in between, so let's get the first few started off with each other. My first row is a side half double crochet, so I'm going to insert my hook into there, and we're all just going to be going into there with 1 single crochet. Into this next row is my side single crochet row, so go ahead and insert your hook into there with 1 single crochet. And then next is our side half double. So like I said, we're going to be alternating, so into this one, we're going to go in with 2 single crochets, just like that. And just to do the next set, this next row is our side single crochet, so go ahead and put 1 single crochet into there. My next side row is my next side half double, so this is going to be just 1 single. And then my next is a side single crochet row, so just 1 into there. And then the next row is my side half double, and we're going to go in with 2 singles into there. And we're just going to keep alternating, going all the way down like that until we don't have any more stitches left. So what we're going to do here, when we have our single crochet row all finished up, we are going to do the same exact thing for our front panel. And then once we have both of these done, we are now going to seam up our shoulders together. So now that we are ready to seam up our shoulders together, the first thing we are going to do is make sure that our work is flipped wrong side out again, so that all of our seams are going to be along the inside when we are ready to wear it. So you guys can either take a look at the seam that we have for our front panel, or take a look at the collar, just making sure that it's not the ribbed side. But once we have figured all that out, what we're going to do is insert our hook into the 2 corner stitches that we have that's right next to the collar, and we just want to make sure that it is into the stitches that's closest to the collar so that we don't have any gaps. But once we have that, we are now going to insert our yarn onto our hook and pull through, do a chain up of 1 to secure. And then this seam is going to be pretty similar to the seam that we did for the body portion, except we're not going to have any actual loops for us to go into. We're going to be working into some side half double and side single crochet rows, but this part is completely up to you guys. I'm just going to be putting 1 single crochet into each side row, so I'm going to end up just having a total of 2 single crochets. So let's just do these 2 together. My first row is right here, which is my side half double crochet. I'm going to insert my hook into there, and also find my side half double crochet into the back panel, and then I'm going to single crochet that together. And then my last one, since I only have 2 rows, is going to be this next side single crochet row into the front panel, and then my next side single crochet row into the back panel. I'm going to single crochet, do a chain up of 1, and cut, and then we can get started on seaming up the side. So now that we're getting started to seam up these sides, the first thing we're going to want to do is actually insert our stitch marker into the spot where we want our slit to be. And we're going to want to make sure that we are counting into both panels, counting in from the top, since both of our panels have 2 different stitch counts, since the back is a little bit longer. So I counted from the top corner going all the way down, and I inserted my stitch marker into the 20th stitch, or from this top corner all the way down to my stitch marker is a total of 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters. So once we have that figured out, we are now going to insert our hook into the corner stitches that we have into the front panel and into the back panel. Once we have that, we're going to insert our hook, no, not our hook, insert our yarn onto our hook and then pull through both of those stitches. Once we have that, we're going to do a chain up of 1, and then this seam is going to be very similar to the one that we did for the front panel, so let's just get that started off. We're going to insert our hook into the first available loop we have into the front panel, and then into the next available loop we have into the back panel, and from here we're just going to single crochet, and that is pretty much it. We're going to keep doing this, going all the way down until we hit our stitch marker, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then actually do the same thing that we just did here on the other side. Alrighty, so we are back and we have just finished up seaming our shoulder portion and our sides, and we are now just about ready to go in with our sleeve. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is make sure that our piece is faced right side up, because the ribbing that we're going in for the sleeve is not reversible, so we want to make sure that everything is facing in the correct direction. And then also what we're going to do is, when we're getting started, we are going to be inserting our hook into the last stitch that we have going into the seam. So this very edge one right here, just to make sure that we don't take away from any of the sides that we have. So go ahead and insert your hook, insert your yarn onto your hook, pull through, and do a chain up of 1 to secure. And then from here, just going up and around our sleeve, we're going to be putting 1 single crochet into each of these side rows, and then also 1 single crochet into every stitch that we have, going all the way up and around. Once we make our way back down, we're going to do a slip stitch into the chain up of 1 space that we just made for each other, do a chain up of 1 from there, and then I'll meet you guys back. Now that we've made it all the way around with our first row of single crochets, the next row that we're going to be doing is a row of single to half double to double crochets. They're all going to be within the back loops, and this part is going to be different for everyone. So you guys are going to get to eyeball where you guys want your single crochet section, your half double crochet section, and your double crochet section is going to be. What I like to do is just put 1 single crochet into each of these single crochets that I have that is right on top of my underarm portion. So I had a total of 5 rows for my underarm portion. We put 1 single crochet into each of these side rows, so I have a total of 5 single crochets on top of this portion right here. So I'm going to go in with 5 single crochets, making sure they're going into the back loops. And then once we're going into the body portion, which is right here all the way up to where we seamed up our shoulder, I just like to split that in half just to make it easy. So I ended up having a total of 16 stitches when we're working from the edge of the underarm all the way up to our shoulder. So I'm going to split that in half. So I'm going to end up having 8 half double crochet, 8 double crochet, and then basically just repeat the same thing, but going in the opposite direction, going back down. And this is going to be different for everyone. You guys can mix things up if you guys want to, completely up to you guys. But I'm just going to get that started, and then I'm going to make my way all the way around. And when I make my way around, I'm going to slip stitch into that chain up of 1 space that we're about to do together, and then I'll meet you guys back so that we can get started on the decrease portion for the rest of our sleeve. But all we're going to do from here is just do a chain up of 1, and then we just want to make sure that all of the stitches that we're doing is going into the back loops. So like I said a second ago, I'm going to go in with 5 single crochets. We're just going to make sure that those are all going into the back loops. So into this first back loop, we're going to go in with 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3, 4, and 5, and then however many single crochets you guys decide to do. And then I'm going to switch it up to do back loop half double crochets now. So nothing fancy, just prepare for a half double crochet, go into that back loop, and then just go in with your amount of back loop half double crochets. Same thing with your back loop double crochets, and then I'll meet you guys back at the end of this row. Alrighty, so we are back with our second row of our cap sleeve, and we're about to go into the third. The third and all the other rows that we're going to do after this is actually going to be really similar to each other. The only thing that's different is that we're going to be doing a decrease into the first 2 loops and then into the last 2 loops into every row. And the only difference is that once we're going in with our decreases, we're only going to be decreasing from the single crochet section. So what I mean by that is, as an example, we had a total of 5 single crochets when we went in with this portion that we had right here. When we go in with our decrease of 2 back loop single crochets, those 2 single crochets are only going to be taken out of the single crochet section. So the fact that I had 8 half double crochets and then 8 double crochets just on one side, those are going to remain the same. So I'm going to end up having a decrease of 2 back loop single crochets and then just 3 back loop single crochets for my single crochet section. And it's going to be the same for the other side, and that is for this next row. For the row after that, I'm going to start off with a decrease of 2 back loop single crochets, and then I'm going to have 2 back loop single crochets, but still maintaining my 8 half double crochets and 8 double crochets. So we're just going to be decreasing this tiny part right here because we eventually want this to be straight up and then eventually to just curve over our shoulder so that we get a t-shirt short sleeve kind of look. So I'm just going to get this part started off with you guys, and then after this you guys can go ahead and continue on with the rows with the adjustments that I just told you guys. So getting started on our third row, what we're going to do from here is do a chain up of 1, and then into these first 2 back loops we're going to go in with a decrease of 2 back loop single crochets. So insert, pull through, into that next one, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3. And like I said, for this row I'm going to have a total of 3 back loop single crochets to close off my single crochet section. So there is 1, 2, and 3, and then my half double crochet and then my double crochet sections are going to be exactly the same. And then just make sure that we are closing it off with the same amount of single crochets and the decrease of 2 into the last 2 stitches as well. And then when we work our way up, make sure that we're going into the back loops, and we're just going to keep going in the rounds like that until we get the length of the sleeve that we want. So I will meet you guys back when I have mine, and then we can move on from there. Alrighty, so I am all finished up going in with my sleeve, and I just ended up having a total of 7 rows. I did do a chain up of 1 and cut because this is right where I wanted mine to be, and I went ahead and did the same thing on the other side. Doing this other side is exactly the same. We just want to make sure that our work is still flipped right side up, just to make sure that our ribbing is faced the same direction. But once when we have that all finished up, we are actually all done with our piece. The last thing that we're gonna have to do is just weave in all of our ends. Our ends are woven in and our summer sweater is all finished up. I'm a sucker for sweaters and didn't feel like waiting till winter to wear one, so we hacked off the sleeves and I couldn't be happier. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order. Enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us your favorite part about summer. Good luck to everyone who enters. Also, if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up because believe it or not, it really helps. And be sure to share us on Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. Those links are down below. Link to our Etsy page is down there too if you guys want to buy this piece or any other piece on the channel. And be sure to favorite the shop so you don't miss out on new patterns and exclusive deals. As always guys, thank you so much for watching and I'll see y'all in the next one.